We are also seeing protests tonight in Santa Ana.
So let's check in with KCAL News reporter Nicole Comstock, who is near that area. So Nicole, what are you seeing now?
Well, Pat, same thing here in Santa Ana. There have been protests going on out here for hours now near the federal building, where you can see lots of National Guard members have gathered here right in front. Obviously, they've been ordered in from President Trump to protect these buildings, to keep law and order out here, and to sort of just calm everything going on with the protests happening all weekend here in Southern California. And they've kind of taken over this intersection here at Santa Ana and Parton Street with their fleet of Humvees. So this is kind of the line where they've shut it down to keep any protesters from filing back into this area where the federal building is. Behind them, we have a row of Santa Ana police officers, and right on the other side of that are the protesters. We can tell you that they are still loud out here. They're making a lot of noise with some of those big fireworks, but the crowd is dwindling out here significantly. So we'll show you a shot of some video we took a couple of hours ago out here when it was lighter out. We had one guy out here taunting federal agents. I'm not sure if you have this video up yet, but he's the guy in the yellow shirt who will appear here. The federal agents weren't having any of it. They eventually caught up to him out here and detained him, likely arrested him. There always seems to be at the protests, a lot of people who are coming out here trying to defend their families, standing up for what they think is right. And then there are a small percentage of people who are doing way more than other people are. And it seemed to be the case with that situation there. Pepper balls being used out here throughout the evening to disperse the crowd at times as well. Actually, one of our photographers got hit with one of them earlier. He and our reporter, Michelle Gili, were out here and took in some of, that pepper. So they had to take a second to, gather their breath and be able to report again. So if you're in the center of one of these protests and you get caught up in one of those moments, you're going to be feeling everything that the protesters are as well. This is obviously a community here in Santa Ana with a lot of immigrant families who say they just want to stand up for what they believe is right, and they want to keep their families together. And the Santa Ana City Council actually just voted last month to move forward with a program that would essentially create an alert system to notify residents before any federal immigration sweeps. We don't know if all the people at the protests know about that, if they're hoping that that would have kicked in at this point. I think it's a little bit too early in the system at this point. But Santa Ana is Orange County's only sanctuary city. So a lot of people wondering, hey, if we're a sanctuary city, if we're making a big statement like that, why are these sweeps still taking place here? Well, Santa Ana PD says they don't work with federal agents on immigration enforcement operations, but police departments also can't use their resources to interfere with these investigations either. So that puts our local authorities in a really tricky position where, obviously I'm sure many of them can understand what these families are going through. They see why they're upset, but at the same time, they have to do their jobs out here, and they can't get in the way when we have the National Guard out here, when eventually if Marines get to these towns as well, they kind of have to let them do what they're going to do. Huntington Park, we saw a different situation with police officers when we were out there at a news conference earlier today with mayors talking about these raids. Some police officers finding a way to quietly support people in their community, driving by these protests, giving them a thumbs up. Not necessarily the situation out here, because it seems like the crowd was a little bit more unruly during the day. But for now, the National Guard holding down the fort out here along with Santa Ana police officers. And the crowd, for the most part out here, we've seen a little bit of vandalism, some graffiti on buildings, and then lots of fireworks being lit off tonight, but we're not seeing much else at this point, you guys. We'll send it back to you in the studio.
We can hear the chopper overhead, Nicole. And we heard earlier that was it an Army helicopter? Do you know that to be the case now?
Yeah, we're not really sure. It's pretty dark out here.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It looks like a news helicopter. It looked like it was white on the front, but we were definitely seeing more police officers, about a couple dozen of them that ran down the street just about a half an hour ago. And it seems like either more National Guard are coming in, or they're just all getting positioned in this location. But we're not short on law enforcement out here tonight, as you can tell.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for that, Nicole.